So today the thing I'm going to teach about is the cleaning, the purification. It's also called tauba. I'm going to teach two different processes today. One is the Ho'oponopono, which was developed by Hugh Lin, and that's in case you want to do the cleaning in the English. And the other is the tauba practice, which is the purification that we use on the Sufi path. But I think we're going to start as we usually do with the remembrance, and then we'll go into the teaching and some experiences with the teaching. Okay, so I'm going to begin with the Fatiha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. So just closing your eyes, dropping into your heart, allowing yourself to close your eyes to the outer world and opening your eyes to the inner world. And we'll begin doing the practice of remembrance. We'll chant Allah out loud to start, and letting the vibration and letting the name take you deeper and deeper in your heart into the place where it's just between you and the beloved, between you and Allah, you and God. And just letting the light, the name, the sound carry you deeper and deeper into your being. Allah, 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 Allah. And just continuing to soften, to open, to melt into the oneness, into Allah. And when you're ready, just gently coming back. I'm unmuting you since there's only a couple of you on this morning, just to let you know. Okay, so couple of things. So we're building some foundational practices. Remembrance, first one, and the tauba, which means the return, is the second one. And along with that, so on the one side, we're building practices. And then on the other side, we're also understanding how to do self-healing, how to go in with yourself when something arises. So on the Sufi path, there's and on many mystical paths, there's a concept called mirrors, which becomes very important. And the mirrors are that everything you see outside yourself, other people, things that bother you, circumstances, is a reflection of your inner being. And so for an example, if your heart is full of fear, when you look at the world, you probably see the world as a dangerous place, and then the danger creates fear. And same thing with if your heart is carrying sadness, you might see things that are heartbreaking. Or if you're full of grief, there might be despair. And so what happens in the purification, in the cleaning, in the return, is that we're cleaning and polishing all the veils on your heart and returning back to Allah. So this means we're cleaning all sorts of things. So I thought we would, I kind of just make a list for you of some of the things we're cleaning and we're dissolving and we're returning. And because we carry all of the divine qualities, but they're in their human form. And that means they might be muddied up, or there might be misperceptions, there might be misunderstandings. And so we need to clean these things off so that we can see who we really are, and that we can be in the ocean of the love and the ocean of the mercy and peace and justice. So some of the things that we're looking at for cleaning are things like negative self-talk, ways we kind of beat up on ourselves or don't talk with ourselves politely, negative talk about others, anger, judgments, greed, arrogance. These are called kind of the blameworthy qualities. Using speech, using your voice, using words to hurt someone, not keeping your word, not keeping a promise, turning away from Allah, being in the world, not being with Allah, but paying attention to other people. There are also things we carry from our lineage, from our parents, from our experiences in childhood, old wounds. And what happens is these kind of tarnish or muddy your heart and create places that are not in divine perfection. And so we want to find these places because they act as like lenses or veils that block us from really understanding, receiving, being with the oneness, being in the unity. So the more clear your heart is, the more you're going to reflect the truth, the beauty, the love, the mystery. And then when we look out into the world, we see that reflected. We see Allah, we see the unity. We look deep into people's hearts and we see that we are in fact all one being. So we rise to this place where there is no difference between me and you and whoever, and we're all in the one being together. So I'm going to read a little bit. I'm going to talk about Ho'oponopono. So I don't know if you're familiar with this. Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian purification and cleaning process that was developed by Hugh Lin. And Hugh Lin was, I think, a psychiatrist who was hired. It's a very interesting story. There's a book about him. And you can find him on YouTube. There's a lot of YouTubes on Ho'oponopono.
Can you spell that, please?
Yeah, H-O, and then an apostrophe, O-P, P-O-N-O-P-O-N-O, Ho'oponopono. Kind of just like it sounds. And I have a video on my website that you can listen to and look at that has the Ho'oponopono process on it, I think with some music, and it's made into a very nice video. But you can also go and see Hugh Lin. So Hugh Lin, the story is this. He was hired by kind of a lock-up, mentally ill, psychiatric type residents to come in and work with the residents. And he went in his office, closed the door. He had all the files of all the people, but he didn't go out and see the people, and he didn't have them come in. But what he did is he sat in his office and he cleaned. And he cleaned everything he could think of, everything he could see, everything that was written, he cleaned. He did this cleaning process on all of the patients and on himself. And little by little, they started getting better. And eventually most of them left or went somewhere else. And so it's a very interesting story, and it really goes to the power of the cleaning, the returning, the oneness. And Hugh Lin, I think he used to teach these classes all over the world. There's a YouTube segment of him teaching that you can find, and it's very good. And he really now only does cleaning. He's not teaching. He cleans like 24/7. It's a very high state of being that he's cleaning for the planet, for the world, for the unity, for the oneness. And so his process, the Ho'oponopono, is very simple. It's 4 sentences. And the sentences are, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. Okay, and then you repeat them until whatever you're looking at or listening to clears, until you find a shift in your heart. So again, it goes, please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. And when I heard him speak online, he also said you can shorten it and just say, I love you. So it's an interesting process. And oftentimes when I begin the Tauba, I might begin with these 4 sentences before I go into the deeper cleaning of the Tauba. And so it's something to kind of keep in mind. You can use it on its own, or you can use it in combination with the Tauba. So I want to read a little before we go into what the Tauba is. The Tauba phrase is Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim.
Could you spell that for me, please?
Sure. I'll spell it the way it is here, but it's kind of, you can spell it, I would spell it phonetically for yourself. But A-S-T-A-G-H-F-I-R. So that's the Astaghfir. Then Allah, A-L-L-A-H. And then Al, Adim. A-D-H-I-M. And some people pronounce the Deem, Zeem, or theme. And usually it's the like kind of a THD sound. So it goes Astaghfirullah Aladim. Astaghfirullah Aladim. So I'll guide you in it so you don't have to remember. So I'm going to read a little bit. It's translated as, I seek forgiveness from Allah Almighty, or I seek forgiveness from the greatest, from the one. So this phrase is about turning the eye of your heart back to Allah, returning after being absent, finding our way back to the love after getting distracted by other than Allah. So I know sometimes the word forgiveness has a, punitive kind of thing. And this is not about that. This is about catching yourself, whether it's that you're in anger or that you're just busy in the world, that you've forgotten Allah, you've forgotten to witness the oneness, and deciding to turn back. So it's a form of repentance that's steeped in the mercy and in the gentleness. So as soon as you decide to turn, Allah is already there, because Allah is always with you, never separated from you. It's us that does the turning away. We turn away. We get busy with the world. We get involved in gossip, or we get involved in greed or materialism, or whatever it is we become involved in. So it's not about you being bad or wrong. It's just about that we become lost, and then we want to return to a place of receptivity again. It's about hitting the reset button and starting over. So we're returning our intention to be focused on Allah, to be living a holy life, a high life, a life that's divinely inspired, and facing in the direction of the divine, facing back to Allah, becoming aware of Allah, merging with Allah, letting Allah infuse you. There's so many things in the world to catch us, our devices, other people, other thoughts, our families, lots of things that take us away. So this is really about the return to God and surrendering to God. So we're really cleaning any places in us that we want to listen to ourselves. We only want to do what we want to do when we want to do it. So there's all sorts of different ways and places this can be used. It can also clean old wounds that people have and are carrying, like unworthiness, not loving yourself, anything that is not the divine quality. Okay, so we're going to work a little bit with the Tauba today. So I'm going to ask you to think of something you might want to clean. It might be a conflict you've had with somebody else. It might be something you see in the world that you say is not good. And we're going to look in our own hearts, because this is the place of power, is to clean ourselves first before we look out to others. It's kind of like that, what they tell you when you're flying. They say when the masks come down, you put on your own oxygen mask first, and then you help others.
I'm the one that said that too.
Yeah?
You remember that? Anyway, I have a question, Cindy.
Okay.
So, my experience is, because I have resistance and I have pockets of resistance, and sometimes they're related to not wanting to give up a habit. I see that.
Yes.
it feels like a death, and sometimes not really panicky, but
Yes.
it just feels really off, knocking me off balance, because I'm contemplating giving up something that was a big part of my life, even though I wasn't always conscious of it.
Yes.
And so often you hear that it's darkest before the dawn. I often hear that in therapy. You know, I did hear in therapy that sometimes when you start stirring up, sort of, for lack of a better term, some of these issues, and I think is it the nafs, shaitan, that hold on even harder?
Yes.
Because they want to have their way. So is that, can you speak to that phenomenon? Is that, I mean, if you're not addressing any of this stuff, you're just going on from day to day in your life, and you're not, you know, you may be in a lot of pain, but it's a pain that you're used to. And then when you start to clean this, I mean, is that a reasonable expectation as a human being, that it would be more uncomfortable?
Yes. And, you know, what guides us on our path, if you're a spiritual seeker, is your desire to be closer to the unity, to Allah, to the mystery, to God, to the oneness, and to really live a life that's guided and not guided by ourself, our ego, our thoughts, or the darkness in the world, or what other people think or other people say, but it's a very personal place where it's just between you and the beloved, just between you and God, and wanting to hear and know that guidance is what pulls us along and helps us with our, we call on the Sufi path, it's your himma, 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 which means your desire. It's like you're being drawn into the love, into the peace, into the oneness, into the unity. And we are drawn and we're seeking. And yes, you know, resistance is there. It's there for a long time, in many places, in many ways, because we have fears, doubts, worries, experiences. And so you start with what's on top when you're going to do cleaning. So if you're noticing that you're resisting, okay, then that's going to be the first place we start the cleaning. And when we go in, you can make a prayer there. You can make a, what we call dua, the prayer of your heart. And you ask Allah to help you with the resistance, to help you open, to help you see what's being held inside there. And then you just follow along. And when you start the tawbah, sometimes it just stays with what you've started with, and it'll shift. You'll find peace. Your heart will move to peace again, and then you're kind of done. But sometimes, if it's a bigger issue or a pattern or a habit that you've been struggling with, you're going to start the tawbah. So let's say we start with the resistance, okay? And then as the resistance starts to open or dissolve or be merged into the light, now you're going to be in the next layer of this issue, and it might be fear, or it might be an idea about something, or it might be a way of being that you've practiced and is habitual. So we follow whatever comes up while we're in the tawbah, and sometimes there'll be images and pictures. Sometimes there'll be stories. Sometimes it'll be just a feeling. Sometimes it could be pain, tension in the body. Sometimes you might have knowing or hear words or sentences. So as you're in the tawbah, if things come up like that, we just include it in the tawbah. So we just say, and that, because sometimes you're like unscrewing or unraveling something that goes very deep, and there are many components to it. And we really want to let the Tauba, the light of the oneness, come in there and resolve this in the deepest way possible. Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. So sometimes as we're doing the Tauba and then things are opening, you feel the light coming in, sometimes there'll be then the divine quality that Allah will send the real quality. Like if you're working with fear, as we clean it, it opens up maybe into the divine protection or the love or the compassion or the that God is enough. You know, it'll open up into some quality that Allah will send down in its perfection for you to have an experience of that in that place that you've now returned, that you've now cleaned, purified, returned. Now the quality can come in and live in you in that place. And that's called the beautification process, where we're actually taking on. What did you say?
I'm sorry, it's called the what process?
The beautification. So
Okay,
we're
yeah,
beautifying. And we're taking on the vibration, the impression, we're merging, we're opening, like we do when we chant the divine qualities. We're now moving into what Allah is sending us that will live in the place where this other veil, this other constriction was before the Tauba. Because those things keep us turned away, keep us not with our eyes on Allah. Okay, so I think we're going to do a little practice here. So maybe each of you can think of something that you're carrying, that you want to clean, that you want to return. And really, you know, what we're doing here, you can do every day. You can find like one thing to purify, to clean, to return every day. It can be just a little thing, like I'm standing at Target and the clerk is moving really slowly and I want to, you know, clean. That I'm having judgments about the clerk and how she's moving and what's happening. Okay, so we're going to do a process now, and I think I'll put you on mute. And the process is thinking of something that you want to clean. And if you don't know what you want to clean, you can ask Allah to show it to you. So you can start with the remembrance, asking Allah, my beloved Allah, please show me whatever it is that's in need of your healing, in need of the light, in need of the cleaning. So if you have something to focus on, you can think of that. If you don't have something and you need help with it, then you can start with the remembrance. And so we're going to, let's start with the remembrance. So we'll start with Allah, Allah, Allah. Asking to deepen into the place that we're going to do the Tauba. Okay? My beloved Allah, please help me clean, open, return this place in me of fear, of unworthiness, of whatever you're going to focus on. And then we can begin by the 4 sentences of the Ho'oponopono so that you can feel that as well. So we say, please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. And just letting that soak in. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. And one more time with the Ho'oponopono. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. And now we'll just follow the light wherever you've been taken in your body, in your heart, in your mind. And we'll begin the Tauba. And as we chant, just let the light of the Tauba guide you. Let it take you deeper. Let it open whatever it opens, looking at whatever's there. If you're in resistance, you can just talk to Allah about, please help me soften, open, receive. So the words here again are Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. And really letting your sincerity of wanting to return, wanting to see clearly, wanting to be in the light and with God and not separating yourself out. Let that intention carry you in the Tauba. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. And then taking a nice breath. And just lightly noticing any changes. You might find yourself in a little deeper layer. And so we'll continue on. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. 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 And as we travel along with the Tauba, sometimes you become aware of a deeper place inside of more sincerity. And feel free to make that prayer to Allah, to God, asking, please help me. Please clean this. Please heal this in the deepest way, in the holy way, all the way through so that I can return to only you. So Allah's listening in your deep heart to the deep sincerity of your prayer and bringing you to the peace, to the love, to the mercy. So we'll continue on a little farther. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. 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 And you might now be open and receiving some peace. And if you want here, you can ask Allah to take you even deeper, to really go towards the root of whatever it is you're holding on to. So let's continue a little further. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. And you might be hitting some pain or some tension, and that's totally perfect. We just continue letting Allah bring the light of the Tawbah into those places. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. 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 And then just opening to what's being sent. Allah. Okay, so I'm going to unmute you again. So how did that go for you? Any questions? Anything you want to share? Any comments?
I had to leave because my roommate had to go out of my bedroom because my roommate grandsons are here, and we've got 3 dogs here, and there was a dog fight, so I had to go break that up. But it's all good. And I was able to get right back into it, and feeling a pretty, and I felt it a few times before, a higher level of being, and just that's the sincerity of wanting help with it. I'm hitting a lot of resistance lately, but I also feel like I'm getting help with that. There's also a lot going on here in the background. So
okay, well, I'll mute you.
Anyway, that's my experience.
Okay. And what about
my experience? Yeah, my experience was I had a hard time going very deep. It kind of stayed at the same level until I finally came down to a place where I guess the words were that I'm not ready to, or I don't want to let go of the way things have been. And that has to do with, I'm looking on towards retirement, and the work that I've done has been very fulfilling, and it's kind of, it's a heart desire. It's what I really wanted to do, and it's hard for me to let go of and to make some new choices, and to start building a new lifestyle. So I'm, that's the resistance. That's what the resistance is that feeling of loss and not wanting to let go.
Yeah, yeah.
And for me, I think I need a little longer time of going inward. That seems to be real significant for me. The last time when we did it, I went in and just kind of was there in that quiet place. But then I woke up in the middle of the night with what I needed to do. So for me, I'm needing a longer time, and of course we don't have it here, but I'm just letting you know that it works, but it doesn't work while I'm on the phone necessarily.
Yes, yes. And we do have the time to do some longer practice, so that's good feedback. Because, especially things that are very dear to your heart and very deep for you, it takes a while for Allah to really bring you through all the different components, all the different places. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you want to take your time with it, and you want to really be present with the teaching, with what you're being shown, with what you're being taught. Yeah, or the guidance that may come out of this place about what's really true in your deep heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I do have one question, and that question is how do you know the difference between being patient, needing to be patient because it's not your time yet, versus resistance?
Well, you ask Allah, and you can ask in many different ways. You can ask using Ya Fatah, Ya Haq, those 2 qualities of open me to your truth, open me to the highest truth. Please, Allah, show me what is your truth. So rather than listening to our personality or other voices, we're asking Allah to open us to the real truth, to the reality, to what's behind the behind. And so sometimes it's really helpful then to start with the tauba. We're cleaning off whatever our own personal views might be, other people's views, other impressions we have that we've taken on. We're cleaning, and we're cleaning so that and opening space so that we can really feel, sense, see, hear the divine, that we can really get the real truth, or as close as we can to the real truth. You know, because everything that happens in our life is there for a teaching. It's there to help us. It's there to help us develop, strengthen qualities within us. And so there's many ways to go, but the real help is when you're really turned to Allah and you're asking, you know, what is the truth here? Please help me understand what's really true, and clean me of anything that's not you in this place. Anything that's not the truth, not the love, not the mercy, not the compassion, not the strength. You know, please open, show it to me, clean it, and return me back to really being deeply with you and receiving what you want in this place. And sometimes we sit with resistance for a long time. You know, some things go quickly, some things take time. And then you can ask to see, what is the need for the resistance? You know, what is some part of me, you know, needing to hold on to this for? So sometimes your cleaning will go that way first. You know, what is the real need here? Am I afraid of being alone? Am I afraid I won't have meaning? Am I, you know, whatever it is? Am I afraid of change, the unknown? You know, so we're cleaning whatever arises, we follow that. And you can, you know, continue in the inner talking to God, talking to Allah about this. And there's a quote I've got here. The heart is the gate of God. As soon as you knock upon it, the answer comes. And I find that for myself, whenever I'm truly asking, I'm asking in sincerity of my deep heart. Whenever I'm asking, the answer or the energy of the answer, the light of the answer is already being sent. It's already there before you probably even finish your asking. And then we just have to soften and work with ourselves to open to receive it.
The words that came, or the word that came, it has to do with trust. Needing to be able to trust that the new is just as good as old has been.
Yes. And that it may be, you know, it may be different, it may be better, it may be, you know, we don't know. We don't know why and what. And the trust is really being willing to go with the guidance unknowingly, you know, unknowingly, but trusting that what Allah is bringing is good, is of the goodness, you know. Well, let's do another practice, okay? So you can work on the same thing. You can work on something different. You can work where Allah is taking you. Sometimes we begin by just saying to Allah, please show me the next step on my path. You know, you can start with something very generic if you don't have one, but usually people have something ready to go. On a moment's notice, we always have something we can be cleaning, deepening, returning. But if not, or if you want, just for different experience, we can ask Allah to descend the light into the place, into the holding that's next on our path, on our way. So I'm going to mute everybody again. Okay. so that you can then say it out loud, say it silently, whatever you like. It won't be coming through. And so we're going to begin again with opening to the light of Allah and making your prayer, asking Allah to please help you in the deep way, in the deep healing, cleaning, returning, opening to the deepest truth, the love, the mercy. Allah, 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 Allah. And then finding your place to begin, whether it's in your body, in your mind, in your heart, in your thoughts, and setting your intention to do the tauba, to do the real deep tauba, the deep return, the deep cleaning, the deep purifying, so that your heart can really be with Allah, can really see and know and understand Allah, God, the oneness. And then we'll begin Astaghfirullahaladzim, 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 Astaghfirullahaladzim. And as you become aware of things inside, just turning to Allah, asking for help, asking for the washing and cleaning of anything other than Allah that lives in these places or with these parts of you. Astaghfirullahaladzim, 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 Astaghfirullahaladzim. 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 And we'll just keep going. And you can deepen your dua. Allah, I'm so thankful and grateful for everything that you're sending in every moment. Please help me clean all the ways and all the places held in here where I'm not with you, where I'm not listening to you, where I'm in fear or anger or worry. Please help me trust deeper. Please help me open more fully to all that you're sending. Astaghfirullahaladzim. 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 And you can continue out loud, or you can just think it inside, thinking it on the breath. Astaghfirullahaladzim. 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 And just continuing on in the silence. And when you're ready, just taking your time, coming back. I'm going to unmute you. So how did that go for you?
That was much better. I was able to get to a time that I think I'm projecting onto this time. Time in the past that I'm projecting onto this time. That, and I needed to, I guess, see that, see what it was like, and feel the feelings around it, and know that that's over and it's not going to be happening again. So.
And so that's one of the impressions you carry deep in your being somewhere. And so that's why we do the cleaning, because you no longer need to look through that lens at what's happening, but yet it still lives somewhere in your being. And so that's a perfect example of one of the things that Allah's showing you to be clean, to be dissolved, to let go of. You know, you look at it, you understand it, and then you ask for the light to come in and bring it into the real, you know, bring it into the real, the truth. Good. And then were you taken after that? Anywhere else, or?
Well, other than a friend of mine, that projection, then I see it in something that's happening with a friend of mine that's causing me some irritation, and so I'm seeing where the, you know, that's a symbol of what was going on inside of me, so I can let that go.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, and when these things arise, when you're in the process, just turn and talk to God about it. If you need more understanding, you can ask for that. If you need help letting it go, you can ask for that. If you want to really let it go all the way in the deep, you can ask for that. You know, if there's something you need to learn from it, you can ask for that. So it's really an ongoing dialogue in there with what you're shown and where you're brought to, and then asking God for the help, for the guidance, for the cleaning, so that you can return to the peace. Yeah, great. Okay.
And mine, I did go deeply for a while here, which was great to experience, and I did get some guidance on an issue, and I think that was a tremendous accomplishment given all the noise around me. It's just, you know, dogs and kids and lawnmowers. So
yeah.
But yeah, I was able to, you know, get some guidance that I needed. So that worked well for me.
Good, good. So hopefully everybody will practice with the Tauba or with the Ho'oponopono. You know, maybe just picking off one thing a day that you'd like to return, to have cleaned, to have removed. And each time we polish the heart, then we become a better mirror for the one, for our beloved, that the qualities we shine out into the world are clean, are not veiled by our misconceptions, our misideas, our misunderstandings about how things are. So I think in ending, we're going to work with a quality. Let's see, we're going to work with ahad, which means the one and only.
Can you spell it, Cindy?
A-H-A-D, ahad.
And what?
Okay.
And what number is it?
This is number 67, so we're jumping a little ahead.
That's okay. And that's okay. I just want to, because then I can look
Then you
it up
can look
here.
it up. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so ahad is the one. There's two names that kind of operate together here, wahid and ahad. Wahid is like the multiplicity, and ahad is the one. So it's like the one in the many and the many in the one. So this name ahad, it's like a wall is made of stones, mortar, sand, bricks, water, and pebbles. But when you look at the wall, you see it as a whole. So the wall is a sum of its parts, yet the wall is not the stone, the mortar, or the water. So the materials that make up the wall lose their identity in the wall. So this is a very deep teaching. You know, same goes for us. We carry qualities, thoughts, feelings, judgments, which we identify as ourselves, but we are also in the one, where those separate parts cease to exist. And so we're going to ask in this chanting of ahad, we're going to ask for an experience of your true self, of the oneness, of the place of no separation between you and the one. So I'm going to mute you for the chanting and then I'll come back. Okay. So we'll do our regular process, which is we'll say Ya Allah, Ya Ahad 3 times, and then we'll do a total of 11 chants. In Fauzia's book, she says if you repeat this name 1,000 times, you'll notice the deep quality and meaning as well as the feeling of unity within you. Your true self will show itself to you. And then you can let your mind become the servant of your true self. You know, usually the mind thinks it's in the lead, but in the ahad, we're going into the oneness. Okay. Ya Allah, Ya Ahad. Ya Allah, Ya Ahad. Ya Allah, Ya Ahad. Ya Ahad. Ya Ahad. Ya Ahad. Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad, Ya Ahad. Opening, receiving, absorbing, and merging. Okay. Well, thank you for being with me this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy.
Yeah, practice up. Practice up, and we'll talk with you next week. I think next week we're going to be talking some about guidance, receiving guidance.
Okay.
And we're going to then continue on also with the self-healing.
Good.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Have
Thank
a good
you.
day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.